Annalect, just to level set, is a data and technology company behind Omnicom. Omnicom is a big conglomerate that holds about 1,500 different agencies around advertising, media, and PR. So you can imagine that we have a lot of stakeholders that we need to service. All of those people want to do interesting things with data, and we as a company need to come up with a lot of efficiency procedures in order to operate at scale. So, spoiler alert, we've used data mesh in order to tackle this, and I'm going to pass it to Santhosh, who is going to cover our technical implementation and share how we've achieved cross-company collaboration and operational efficiencies.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before I begin, we at Analect would like to tip our hats to Zhamak Dehghani, pioneer of data mesh. Introduced in late 2022 as a white paper, data mesh provided a dexterous approach to organize your data. With it, data is grouped into independent, focused data domains without the need for a centralized management, thus easing the burden on one central team. By distributing the ownership of data to several teams, it serves stakeholders in a more flexible and accountable way. First of all, here is a common perception of how data is used, or in simpler cases, how it's used. You have a database, you bring in your visualization tool, and then you produce meaningful reports. Well, in organizations, and certainly definitely in ad tech industry, this is not how it works. Instead, you would bring in data from several sources, host it in a central repository, and then create reports out of that central repository. This repository, you call it data warehouse, data lake house, whatever you want to call it. There are some challenges here. Number one, data must be moved. And if you're talking volumes of data, you're increasing the time at which the data is accessible, and additional resources need to move this data. Number two, if you stick to one standard, any non-conforming standard of data coming in requires additional overhead, operational overhead in bringing that data into the warehouse. Number three, questionable freshness and accuracy. If there's a lag between the original source and the source at which you are reporting, there's questionable accuracy on that data itself. And number four, a small team of people is serving a large group of access management. And not to mention with several teams requiring complex access control mechanisms, this means complex provisioning of the data. Come in a modern solution, data mesh. Data mesh works where data is logically grouped into nodes. And from these nodes, data products are data derivatives without actually disturbing the original data sources. And reports or even exploration of this data is made happen on these data products. Applications and humans can access all of the data products as long as there is a use case to be served and proper permissioning is done. At Annalect, this is how we logically grouped our data sets. So Annalect is a tech company. We serve marketing needs and advertising, media buying needs. So aggregate media data, which hosts all of our campaign data for all of our clients of Omnicom, is aggregate media data, as an example. Audience data is all of behavioral attributes for audiences. Event data is anything that is timestamp, ad served with timestamp is event data. And then you have commerce data coming from retailers, the shelf, inventory, etc. They're all commerce data. So on and so forth. One important thing here to observe and take note of is that you need to have well-defined rules on how to classify a data set coming in to the respective data nodes. If the new data set arrives, and if it doesn't conform to any of these rules, go ahead and create a new node for it. That's perfectly fine. But you don't have to jam in this data set into a data node that it doesn't correspond. Then you will have multiple data lakes instead of having a data mesh. So it's very critical and very anal about those rules. Having worked on data mesh for 2 years, Annalect realized that not only we could unify data sets across our organization, but with some enhancements, it could also become an invaluable framework for data collaboration among partners, clients, and other agencies of Omnicom as well. So we treat those as individual data nodes, and we don't have to move the data anywhere, leave the data as is, and query those data sets, treating them as data nodes. Here is a deep dive into a typical data node at Annalect. Right? It does its usual ingestion, cleansing, transform, and checking quality and building data pipelines. But think of our data mesh as a hotel. In a hotel, every room doesn't have to have the same decor. As long as it has the same access mechanism and it conforms to some standards, you can have multiple decors in a hotel room. Likewise, each data node, the teams can use their preferred way of ingesting the data, checking quality, making quality checks, and even building data pipelines. They can use their own preferred way. As long as you publish these data sets to a data catalog and then make it available to federated distributed computing platform like Starburst, your roles and responsibilities are just defined to making that data made available at rest. Iceberg plays a very important role in our data mesh, and we have some data nodes storing data in Iceberg. But Iceberg is not the one and all solution. You can store data in, let's say, BigQuery or even Postgres. Each data node can define their own data storage strategies and then make it available to federated computing. And thus, you're making your data available for accessibility, regardless of the storage format you choose. Hence, we call it everything talks to everything, right? So here in this example, you have event level data and then some aggregate media data. You can go ahead and create data products by combining the two data nodes or having just data coming from one data node. As an extension, let's say we have clients' sales data. You don't have to bring that sales data into your ecosystem. You can have the client own the data. You just make a connection and call that as a data node. So data is not moved into your ecosystem, thus making that collaboration more efficient. The client still owns the data governance aspects of it, and there is no operational overhead of having to move the data, even for the data producer, to ship the data, and then as a data consumer to ingest the data and store the data again. So data footprint is reduced, and operational overhead is reduced, and thus you're actually increasing the speed of data collaboration. And again, with distributed federated computing workbench like Starburst, you can use the same workbench to access the data for your reporting purposes as well as exploration purposes. You just have to have different resource groups and resource management, but otherwise it's the same data that you are accessing for several needs, be it exploration, be it ML pipelines, or be it reporting. Data lineage. It's for your data mesh to be successful, data lineage is critical. Because you're providing data products, you want your data product users to know where the data came from. If there are any changes in your upstream data processes, that lineage is pretty much visible. Using tools like dbt, you can capture this lineage, and of course today it was announced that Starburst is introducing data lineage. So data lineage is becoming more and more important for transparency for data product users. And data catalog is also another important aspect for your data mesh success strategy. Automated asset info for all of your data products as well as your data sets is critical. Knowing who the owner is, when was the last time this data was refreshed, and the lineage details for this data is critical so that users who are trying to create new data products, they can go in and check if there is already a data product exists, hence they are not creating duplicate data products, and B, they have discoverability ability to go check all the data assets and then create meaningful data products that people might have not thought before. And then with Starburst, providing role-based access control, row-level filtering, and query auditing features. Data governance is a breeze. It's just an operational exercise. You have to create a comprehensive data governance policy and then make it an operational exercise rather than a technical challenge. How do I deal with this access control? How do I restrict access to this? It's all governed by a global data governance policy. And finally, data mesh, benefits of data mesh. Number one, you can query data where it remains. This is where query federation comes into picture, right? So you're not moving data. Number two, you have freedom to combine the data sources. It could be any of these data nodes as long as there's a business use case and there's proper provisioning of this data. You can combine any data sets together to create meaningful data products that people might have not thought before. And data works together, be it partner data, be it client data, be it our own data sets that we ingest and acquire. Everything works together. There is no one central team bottleneck here because the data node teams themselves have clear ownership of the data. They are responsible for the products. Like they are actually advertising their product for everybody to consume and use. Hence, there is no one central team. And then architectural agility. You don't have to have one unified framework platform for everybody to follow. Each team can adopt and evolve modern tech stack as and when it suits their needs. And that's where the agility comes, as well as operational efficiency and collaboration with our partners and clients comes into picture. And here's a blog post that we wrote on AWS in partnership with our AWS team, explaining the same data mesh journey. If you're interested, please go ahead and feel free to leave a comment, or if you have other ideas to suggest, we welcome you to post it. And then the first QR code, if you're interested in exploring data mesh ideas, exchanging notes, or even you can talk to us about our data lake failure stories. We are happy to discuss this. Feel free to reach out. Please put data mesh in the subject, and we'll be happy to collaborate and discuss with you. The second QR code is for career opportunities. Annalect is hiring, and if you're interested in applying for a job in data engineering at Analect, working on data mesh and modern tech stack, please feel free to reach out. We even have Stephen Yunt, who is our talent acquisition. Please reach out to him, and we are happy to have you work with us. Thank you very much, Starburst, for giving us this opportunity, and as well as being one of the key enablers of our data mesh success story. So thank you.